Hello. Thank you for that introduction. True story about Ramon's mosh pit, losing a shoe. But yeah, thank you so much for being here, and I'm excited to welcome these two guests. KXCI has been a fan of both Jenny and the Mexicats and Silvana Estrada for many, many years, and we're excited to be part of the concert tonight at Hotel Congress, so I hope to see you there as well. So let me do my formal introductions of these two, and I'll do some questions, and if we have time, we'll open it up to questions from the audience. Mexican indie star Silvana Estrada is from Coatepec, Veracruz. She sings and plays the Venezuelan cuatro guitar. Silvana has released 3 albums, including 2 with collaboration from renowned musician Charlie Hunter. They recorded the album Lo Sagrado at Estrada's parents' cabin in Coatepec, and the album was released in 2017 and later re-released in 2020. That's the same year she signed to the American label Glass Note Records, becoming the first Latin American artist signed to the label. In January of 2022, she released Marchita, her first solo album and 3rd album overall. Silvana won the 2022 Latin Grammy for Best New Artist, sharing the honor with Angela Alvarez, and she is nominated this year for Best Singer-Songwriter for the song Si Me Matan. Silvana Estrada will be performing as well with the LA Philharmonic this Friday. Felicidades. Jenny Ball began playing the trumpet at the age of 7 and singing at the age of 15, alongside teaching herself to play the guitar and performing with jazz and classical bands. Jenny is originally from the UK and met her future bandmates in a Madrid flamenco bar in 2008. The band initially calling themselves Pachucos y la Princesa, and they're known for their fusion. We'll get to your story, don't worry. And is known for their fusion of sounds that include cumbia, bomba, mariachi, gypsy jazz, pop, and reggae. They recorded their first album, Jenny and the Mexicats, in the summer of 2011 in Madrid and moved to Mexico, the capital, in 2012, and they obtained a gold record for that release. English trumpeter and singer Jenny Ball, Spanish percussionist David Gonzalez Bernardos, and the Mexican brothers Pantera Mexicat on guitar and Icho Mexicat on double bass comprise Jenny and the Mexicats. Bienvenidas a Tucson and welcome to TENWEST, Jenny Ball and Silvana Estrada.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to get started. I want to ask you about where you grew up, and this we'll start with maybe start with Jenny. But I want to ask you where you grew up and how place played a role in your musical development, as far as what the music was that you were listening to, that you were experiencing, and if that had an impact on your musical journey. I'll go ahead and start with you, and then we'll ask Silvana.
For sure. Yeah, for sure, where you're at is going to affect what you're listening to. Actually, as I've traveled around more and more and more, I've always been like absorbing new music from the places I'm at, and it's made me grow musically. Like geographically speaking, where you are makes a big difference. Like I remember when I got to Mexico and how I heard like los metales, like the trombones, trumpets, like how they use the tuba there. Like I'd never in my life ever heard that in England, no? But like if it wasn't for having been raised in Southeast London, where I had access to the Bromley Youth Music Trust, which was an awesome trust, which was available to anybody from any background, and you could learn. So I had the chance to learn trumpet. I actually wanted to play trombone, and my arms, surprisingly enough, were not long enough. So I started on the trumpet, and then I loved the trumpet, so I stayed there. And if I hadn't had that chance, I don't think I would have ever quite developed my musical ear enough to be able to then have the confidence to start writing songs. Mm-hmm.
So that served as the foundation, and then
for sure,
obviously
yeah,
more exploration and incorporating more sounds. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute.
And also family, you know, family, friends, like what you're listening to, who's close to you, what you're consuming, like the people are always passing music to you. It's
and being in a very multicultural place as well.
Mm-hmm. You have access to all sorts of stuff. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And Silvana, what about you, being from Veracruz with an incredible musical history?
I grew up in, as you said before, in Coatepec, Veracruz. And my family, they are musicians. My parents both are luthiers. So my mom, she builds violins and violas, and my dad, he builds double basses and cellos. So I grew up surrounded by music and musicians. And also, I guess I learned when I was very like a kid that music is a very like intense and important way to create community. Because in Veracruz, we have el son jarocho, which is our traditional music. And I think through the son jarocho, I learned like this idea of music at the center of everything. It's community. And I grew up with that feeling of, okay, I'm singing in, you know, all the comidas with los tíos and the family and the friends. And so for me, it was like the way I could access to joy and happiness and entertainment. I also grew up very isolated in the countryside, so there were not much to do except singing. So I grew up very connected with Latin American music, folk music, jazz, all the old vinyls my parents had. So that's the way I kind of develop like my own way to understand music.
Can you talk a little bit more about son jarocho and kind of the origin of that musical style?
Well, it's a very interesting style because it's a mixture of so much cultures and history. So Veracruz, it's the coast, no? El Golfo de México. That's where the Spanish entered, but also that's where the African slaves entered. And that's also a very like strong indigenous region. So that mixture of those three cultures get to made the son jarocho. So it's a very voy a cambiar español.
Está bien.
I'm sorry.
Spanglish is fine.
So it's a very como música bien comunal, no? So the people, there's in el son jarocho, and that's something I know that comes from the African way of living the music. There's no this idea of the artist and the audience, and that's something I deeply believe in. To not do this differentiation of artists and people. We are all artists, we are all singers. So in el son jarocho, everybody sings, everybody plays the multiple little guitars we have, and everybody dances. So it's more like a party. And it's very, it's the way many people find like, es como la manera en la que la gente pasa el tiempo libre. It's a party where everybody can actually bring something. People can improvise the verses. There are many things to sing about. And, you know, that's the way we've been creating our own cultures, through that kind of exchange of musicality.
Thank you. And you're both based in Mexico. You're still in Mexico City?
More or less.
More or less, okay, más o menos. But you've found great success, you've had great success in the United States. Do you find that it's challenging to do that, or because of the way music is shared now? So I want to talk a little bit about the music industry and how changes in the music business, but have you found it challenging to not be in the United States and still being able to reach a US audience, or not so much because of how music kind of transcends borders now?
I don't know. I've been traveling. I've been coming a long time to the USA. Actually,
You've been here several times in the last several years.
Yes, I've been visiting your country for quite a while. I've been playing all over. So I didn't really feel that. Only in quarantine, I took like a little rest, and I didn't come. But I've been coming a lot, and I think internet gives you the opportunity to connect and share with all sorts of people. Now we're connected by the interweb.
Yes, the ultimate connector.
Yeah.
What about you, Silvana?
I think The music I do, it's really, I've been connecting with so many people that doesn't get to really understand Spanish or doesn't get to fully understand what I'm saying, but at the same time, they are really connected with what is going on, like musically. So I feel like in this, I don't know, this weird moment of life, it's crazy how we are connecting. We are connecting through the internet, of course, and I'm glad. I do believe that that's why we can actually be independent musicians. If not, it will be really difficult.
And I have a question about even the category of Latin music and Latino music. And Jenny, your sound with the Mexicats is, as I mentioned earlier, there are influences from so many different countries and so many different places. Primarily, you're both bilingual and you sing in English and Spanish, but you're both kind of characterized as Latin artists or Latino artists.
That was a mistake, though. that wasn't planned. That just happened.
What was the mistake? What wasn't planned?
No, it wasn't a mistake, but it was like I was never a Latin artist. I'm from London.
Yeah,
I'm half Dutch, half English. I just found these guys, and I end up just like morphing into whatever's close to me. So I do palmas, and we play flamenco, and we do all sorts of stuff. So I think there's no limits, like in music. It's really cool. But yeah, I'm a Latin artist, apparently. But it's cool. It's a beautiful umbrella to be under. I feel very privileged to get to be here. And I get to play all sorts of music that I think a lot of people from where I'm from maybe never hear or don't get the chance to dabble in and stuff like that. And I think I have a real good time playing with the guys. Mm-hmm.
What about you, Silvana, feeling like you're categorized as a Latina artist, even though there's so much diversity within that word?
I feel like we should be more aware that when we say Latino artist or Latin artist, it's massive. Like, we are so many people and so different. Literally many countries in that word. Even in Mexico, there are plenty of like folk types of music, and it's crazy because a few years ago, I don't know, el reggaeton or the urbano get like huge. So I feel now when I come here to the US, it's like, you're a Latino artist. So I feel like I need to be something different. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm a singer-songwriter. I stand with my guitar and I sing my songs, and that's what I do. I don't dance. I'm not like that Latino TikToker idea sometimes they have, no? So I feel like Latino, and because of the way Latino America has been built, it has to be very open. If you're gonna say Latino music and Latin music, we need to be very open and very respectful, and also very caring, you know? Like, I support Jenny, I support, you know, my colleagues, and I also celebrate the diversity Latino music has, I don't know.
Jenny, let's get back to your origin story. Can you tell us how you ended up in Madrid and how you met your future bandmates?
It's quite a cute story. I'll do it short. So I was with this music trust. I used to play in an orchestra and a wind band, and we had like a wind band version of like an orchestra that would go on tour in the summer. And I was on my last tour when I was 18, and we went to Spain. So we toured all over Spain, and then we were on our last night, and we were in Madrid, and we were like, oh, let's go see some flamenco. So we went to Las Carboneras, que está por el centro de Madrid. ¿Has ido ahí?
Me encantan las carboneras. I love it.
Pues ahí nos conocimos, el grupo. Y estaba sentada con todas las trompetas, los trombones. Éramos como 3 chicas. Y el resto era una bola de güeyes. Y, I'm speaking in Spanish again. Okay, sorry. So then I never wear heels because I'm a very tall person, but in that moment I was 18 and I wore heels. So like, I cut my foot on my shoe, and I wanted a plaster, So I asked the waiter for a plaster, and the waiter was Pantera, because Pantera was Mexican studying flamenco in Spain. And we got talking to Icho, because Icho was the sound man, and he was studying cinema, but plays double bass. Entonces we just hit it off, and in the end, one thing led to another, and there I was 2 years later, in Madrid, making the band with these guys, running away from London. I was like, I gotta get out of here. Where am I going? You know? And we had this. We met at this beautiful moment of our life when we were all really young, and we were like catalysts for something was gonna happen. No? And so we gave each other all like an incredible amount of energy. And I just started writing songs. So I had this opportunity that every time I wrote a song, we put it together with the cajon. And the cajon was like this instrument that not many people knew at that moment. It's literally just a box you sit on and you hit. And David makes amazing rhythms with just his hands. He uses his knuckles and different parts of his hand and makes different sounds, different intensities. And for someone like me that has this kind of like hoarse voice, like the cajon was just a beautiful thing that harmonized really well with my way of making songs, and the Spanish guitar. I was like tired of the trumpet by that point, and so I'd play the flugelhorn and I'd play the guitar, and we'd just be sitting down, and Pantera and me sat down on chairs playing the guitars. I'd like whack out the flugelhorn sometimes, double bass. I'd like stand on the double bass to try and make it like a show. But anyway, we always feel like we're in a jam when we do a concert, and it always becomes quite personal, and we hit it off right from the beginning. And we did our first show in London because I took them there. 3 months later, I was like, I'll just take the band to see some friends in England and we'll do a concert. No? And we did it, and people got it, even though we were singing in English but trying bits in Spanish. I didn't speak any Spanish at that point. I didn't understand anything. And I was like, if I wanted to be able to defend myself or speak for myself or anything without these guys talking for me, I was going to have to learn Spanish. No? So in the end, I had to learn, and I actually really enjoy Spanish. I think it's a beautiful language. It gives you an opportunity to express yourself in different ways. It's very poetic. The words have an amazing rhythm. Like in English, the rhythm is much shorter. That's why a lot of rock and roll is like in English, because you can just feel it. You can punch the melodies out with 3 or 4 words and it sounds fab. No? Well, in Spanish, like it's beautiful and detailed, and you can get all these intricate melodies in one word because the word's so long. And so like it was a whole discovery for me, and I think they took me then to Mexico, and then in Mexico it really opened my eyes to another adventure. You know?
It's a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
I want to know about influences and collaborations, because you've both done plenty of collaborations, and then I want to ask you about some cover songs. But I'm curious about your influences. Which artists historically have you followed, have you admired, and how have they influenced the music that you're putting out?
I think like the first artists that I get to admire are already dead. I listen to so much like old music. I don't know, I love Billie Holiday or Ella Fitzgerald or Mercedes Sosa, Violeta Parra, Chavela Vargas, a lot of like the classics, because I deeply believe like in the power of timelessness, no, and timeless music. But I think now I really admire, I don't know, and now I can say they are my friends, and that's also something very meaningful to me. I don't know, Natalia Lafourcade, or Julieta Venegas, Mon Laferte, Jorge Drexler, all these, you know, singer-songwriters, and they are doing like very different things, but they are also very worried about the words and the songs and what they're saying and how they're doing it. And I really respect like their journey through like this song. I don't know, I can think of Jorge Drexler working so hard to create all those like perfect songs and the perfect metaphors and the perfect images. And I think those are some artists that I really admire, and I actually collaborate I've been collaborating with most of them.
And I know he's one of the artists that you've covered. You've also covered Manu Chao.
Yes.
You did a version of Clandestino, and Tom's Diner by Susana Vega, which I find is a beautiful cover. Can you talk about the inspiration to do that?
It was actually, those songs came from, Spotify, they asked me like to do a cover of a hit, no? They literally told me like, you need to do a cover of a hit. And I don't know any hits. For me, Tom's Diner is like the greatest hit. But you know, the original version of Susan Vega singing a cappella, that's like one of my favorite songs. And then, of course, Clandestino de Manu Chao, it's like, I grew up with that, buena onda hippie music. So those were my choices, and at the end they decided to actually use Clandestino. It was like I did like this arrangement with brasses, more like a oaxaqueño brass band, almost like a una banda oaxaqueña. And then Tom's Diner, I did this arrangement with Gustavo Guerrero for 3 voices and a cumbia band.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful cover.
So it was so much fun. We had like so much fun at the studio, and it is very weird. It is very weird. I think the people on Spotify, they were like, yeah, we're not using this song at all.
That's excellent. Jenny, you covered Selena's Si Una Vez.
Yeah.
I know it was a while ago, but can you talk about why you chose to do that?
Well, we played in la Fiesta de la Flor, or el festival que hacen that they do for her, and we actually met her family there, and each band that plays there does a cover of one of her songs, and we decided to do Si Una Vez, and then they liked it a lot, and they suggested we record it, so we did. We actually still do it. You come tonight, you'll hear it.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a great incentive to show up. I want to ask where you both find your motivation, inspiration these days. What's inspiring you to keep creating and to keep touring, keep putting out music?
Life. I don't know. I feel a great responsibility as a human being right now. Not just as like somebody that writes music or whatever. I think we all have our little gota de agua en el mar, the little drop that can expand, and you have an opportunity every time you meet somebody or every time you communicate with somebody to leave something that can expand and keep going. And I think sometimes we feel very restricted in this day and age, that even though we're all connected, we all feel like maybe controlled by different people's expectations or opinions. And like right now as humanity, I think it's very, very important that we have that we feel the community and we connect together and we can make change together, because I think people, when they're on their own, they feel like they can't do anything. And I think that's wrong. And I think that actually in numbers, the power is in numbers, and we're all one, and we suma. Somos muchísimos. O sea, we can do so much, and we can help, and we can change. And in humanity, we're very powerful, and we're very strong. And I think we have a future ahead of us, and we need to take care of each other. So like in my songs, yeah. In my songs, I hope that in the new ones that come out, I have a solo project that I do a lot of music in English. None of that has been released yet, but I've been working on that.
When is that coming? Speaking from the radio station,
Yeah.
When can we get some music?
Yeah, so I've got a duet with a friend called Jorge Perrillo that's coming out tomorrow. He's a Mexican producer. We did a song called Make Me My Fear, and it's about you'll hear it. It comes out on the 9th. And it's about how society puts you in this place where you feel fear, and under this umbrella of fear, you act in a certain way, no? And pues a lot of my songs, new songs, have a bit more meaning like that. Before they were more love songs or angst songs or fun songs or whatever songs. And I think you can write a song about absolutely anything, and anything is worthy. Anything can deserve a song. This flip-flop, yeah, can have a song. Yeah, anything can. But I have a song, for example, of this other project that I'm gonna just slip into the new Mexicat album. I'll do like an acoustic version, and it's called Mama Earth, and it speaks for like La Pachamama, the earth, and how we got to take care of her and all that. So like, and that's where my message is right now.
Well, I'll be on the radio on Friday at 10 a.m. I'll be sure to look for your track and get it out there on the air. Happy to support. And Silvana, what about you as far as inspiration and motivation to create en estos días?
These are weird days.
These are weird days.
These are weird. Charlie Garcia said, everything is too weird and we are acting too normal. But I think I find my inspiration and my energy in freedom. I really believe in freedom. I really believe that music and art give us the opportunity to imagine without fear. And I think also beauty, it is so important. I really believe in create beauty in order to heal our communities, in order to allow our people to actually feel joy and pleasure. It is so important to actually create beauty and safe spaces, as concerts are, for people to get vulnerable and actually heal their own traumas. And I think that's freedom to me, being able to actually stand in the stage and just sing my stories and sing what I want to sing, and then finding out that there are so many people feeling and healing through what I'm saying, and that's beautiful. I feel like the luckiest. We have the best job in the world, you know? It's and I think creativity, it's so important. I feel like beauty allowed us to be creative, and be creative is the only way that we can have to actually imagine better realities and better worlds. So I think in order to go to that better life that we all deserve, we need to imagine it first. And I think art, it's very important.
Extremely political messaging. You can get your message across through a song, whether it's about a political statement or the beauty of being alive and being someone who inhabits this world. Thank you both for what you do. I admire both of you, and I'm excited about the show tonight. Thank you for taking some time to talk with me today and with these folks here. And I hope to see you all at the show tonight. Silvana Estrada, Jenny, and the Mexicats at Hotel Congress this evening. Look forward to that show and see you there.
Thank you.
Thank you, gracias.
Thank you, Elva, Jenny, Silvana.